My name is Sara Nelson. I am our AFA International President. And on the first day of Pride Month, June 1st, 2022, we are also starting a new term of office with newly elected AFA-CWA international officers. And so it's with great pride that I am introducing you to your new International Vice President, Keturah Johnson, and your new International Secretary Treasurer, Dante Harris. And we really thank you for joining us. We're going to hear a little bit about Keturah and Dante, and then we're going to give you just a little report on the state of the industry, the state of the union. And then if we have some time, we'll get some questions from you. So let's start with Keturah. Keturah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, hello everyone, my name is Keturah Johnson. I just want to say that I am also proud to be the first queer woman of color to be elected into this position as we enter Pride Month. I grew up internationally, joined the military, and recently, or not actually, right after that, got involved in union work, where I led Piedmont Airlines to a 100% strike vote. Right after that, we ratified our first contract.
So I'm sorry, I just have to back up just for a minute because this was all going on while the pandemic was still surging, not the best time to be negotiating, but you turned out 100% strike vote. It was for some badly needed contractual improvements for Piedmont flight attendants. And when did those go into effect, and generally how much more are people making because of it?
Flight attendants have a significant increase and also a better quality of life. And, you know, we're still making demands, and hopefully we'll see some of those improvements coming here soon.
You set some very serious demands in those negotiations that you got locked in with the strike vote. And those demands are really important for now, as some of what we've been saying to the airlines for a long time is coming to fruition. It's very, very difficult with full airplanes to get to work. It's very difficult to live in these expensive cities where we're based. And so you think that those demands are going to come to more improvements soon?
I believe that they will be, and I believe that the flight attendants will be taken care of.
All right, so we're going to keep pushing. Obviously, we want to bring up the standard for all flight attendants, and I'm really, really proud. I want to say, actually, thank you to Deb Suter, who just finished her job as our International Vice President. She was the first elected flight attendant from a regional airline, and really set a tone in our union that this is about one job, one career. And we got to lift up the standards for everyone. And it's really important that we have everyone's voices, everyone's experiences at the table. So we're going to keep pushing forward on that. And Dante.
Hey.
Dante. You're a 22-year flight attendant, but tell us a little bit more about how you got to this role.
Well, hello, AFA-CWA siblings. So I'm Dante Harris, and I've been doing union work for 22 years. And I learned how to rock a picket line at 7 years old, being on the picket line with my dad. He was a shop steward with ATU. He was a bus driver in New York. So I was holding up picket signs saying, pay my dad fair wages at 7 years old. And so that's where I got my passion for the labor movement. And here I am years and years later, and that is me. That's Dante.
All right, but you've been a 22-year union flight attendant coming out of United Airlines, and you just recently, and for quite a while now, been serving as local council president in Council 12 Los Angeles.
Absolutely, yes. I served 4 consecutive terms as the president for Council 12 in Los Angeles, and also I served 1 term as the local secretary in Council 11 in San Francisco for United.
And I am here to testify that it is true that your picket lines do rock it.
Yes.
And we're going to put that to use. And we may even see, I'm learning about TikTok because of these two, actually. And so we may even see some getting down with it, or what's that TikTok trend? Anyway, all right. Check us out on Twitter later. We'll tell you about that. We want to talk with you about some hot topics because this is going to be a hot summer. And first and foremost, we worked really hard as a union to get 10 hours rest into law. We did that, and we accomplished that, as you all will know, in October of 2018. The Trump administration put that on a path that was intended to kill that legislation and not ever have that be implemented. The Biden administration has since been pulling that back and putting it back onto a regulatory path in order for it to be implemented. But you know, there's a lot of distraction, and they were doing a good job with that. But it's looking like we may need to take some action and demand that they work a little bit harder on getting this implemented. So it does need to go back through a review with the government oversight to make sure that it's not too much of a cost for the airline industry. That's really just a 90-day delay, which is not good at this time. We need to get through that so that we can get it implemented. So we're going to be pushing hard on that, and we may have an action for you coming up on that to make sure that people stay focused. We're going to be working really hard to make sure that we're addressing the issue of staffing, both the fact that this is going to be a hot summer. There's really not enough staffing to go around, whether that's flight attendants, pilots, mechanics, customer service agents, or even the people working concessions in the airport too. We're going to be pushing hard on this issue, both for now and this summer, but also going forward. Those seats have only gotten to be more on our planes, more passengers, full aircraft. We're doing more than ever. That includes in the boarding process too, and thanks to our organizing at Delta, we set a new standard there. Delta's paying half pay. I think we have a demand that's more than that. And of course at United Airlines, there's a demand for all time on duty to have that half pay. So we're talking about more, and we're going to keep pushing forward. And the more that we organize at Delta, the more that helps to lift the industry standard. I'm just going to talk about that for a minute because the Delta campaign has really been growing in momentum, and we're going to be talking with all AFA members about how we help Delta flight attendants actually get to a vote this year. And that is really important because Delta has been making billions and billions of dollars more than any other airline. They should be setting the standard. They should be setting the highest standard in the industry, and something that the rest of us are trying to chase, right? And so without a union, we're just never going to get there. But Delta can afford to pay more, and we're going to help Delta flight attendants organize their union with AFA, and we're going to get more. So along with that, we're working more closely than ever with our union siblings at APFA at American Airlines. I want to give a shout out to their national president, Julie Hedrick, who came along with her other national officers to our AFA board meeting this last month. And we have never had such a strong working relationships, and flight attendants have really benefited from that. And we're going to be working to strengthen that relationship going forward. That's going to be a key priority for us because this is all about bringing flight attendants together, building more power, and continuing to lead labor forward. You know, for 50 years, management has been telling us everywhere in every industry, you should feel lucky to have a job. And from here forward, we're going to tell them, you should feel lucky to have our work. So we can only do that by building power, joining together in our unions, and we're going to be working very hard on that. We're also organizing at some of the startup airlines so that our careers can't be undercut there. We just had a successful election at Avelo. We're in the middle of an election at a charter carrier using the Eastern name once again. Boy, listening to their organizing call, they need AFA. Paycheck problems, safety problems, everything in between. And they're voting now for AFA. We also have a campaign at SkyWest, and a lot more flight attendants from other airlines reaching out and interested in AFA representation. So we're going to keep going, keep bringing flight attendants together. And speaking of a long, hot summer, we want to make sure that you know that we're going to have some tools for tracking problems in the operation. Now, we are international officers, and our job is to oversee the staff, the professional staff that we have at AFA, our attorneys, our professional negotiators, our professionals in working on our legislative issues, our AFA-EAP, our Air Safety, Health, and Security Department. These are all staff members that have been put in place over the years because flight attendants have demanded that expert work and that expert assistance to our efforts to lift our careers, address the issues at work, and to bargain the best contracts we can. And so we are continuing to push those resources out to the MECs, but obviously at each of your airlines, you have an AFA structure that addresses those daily issues. And that's where your contractual issues are going to be addressed. That's where your contract is going to be enforced. We're here to support your locally elected leaders on that, but only flight attendants at each individual airline can make decisions that affect them there at that airline. That's our structure. And so we'll support them in that. We're going to put together some tools, though, that help us track where some of the problems are to help some of the airlines out there in addressing these issues with management, and also track industry trends so that we can be addressing these issues right with the regulatory bodies, with the FAA, with TSA, with DOT. So, and in some cases with the Department of Labor. So we'll get those tools out sometime in the next couple of weeks, and that should assist you through this hot summer. But also, Dante and Keturah, I hope that you have your AFA Too Hot, Too Cold keychain. I believe you do. Do not leave home without it. If you do not have a Too Hot, Too Cold thermometer keychain from AFA, ask your local for one. We have an app that you can put on your phone called Too Hot, Too Cold, the number 2, right?
Yes.
And then HOT, the number 2, COLD, and download that. It's a place where you can report issues when the temperatures are getting really hot or when they're cold. There are 0 temperature standards for our aircraft in the industry, 0 federal standards. And so we can document this. We can put airlines on the spot this summer and make them have to respond to that. I have some concerns about oil prices and some pressure on the pilots to cut off the APU or not starting that ground power right. So we want to be sure that you are fully armed and able to submit those reports and let us know where there are problems. This is a real safety and health issue, and we've got your back on that, and we're set up for the summer to address it. I'm going to pause for just a moment and see if we have any questions here. But once again, you need to download the app, and then you've got your trusty thermometer right there with you to check the temperature and put that into your report. If you find that temperatures are too hot, later on we'll talk about too cold. I think we're talking about too hot throughout the summer, though. So let me see if we have any questions coming in, and our comms people are supposed to be texting me. I don't see anything, so apparently we've answered all the questions, or at least I have. Dante, is there anything that you want to share with people, or Keturah?
I don't have anything to share.
Let me just say, I am so honored to have been elected to this position. I think I have to mention that I am the first person of color to ever serve in the position of AFA-CWA International Secretary Treasurer in AFA's history. And so that means a lot to me. And it's not about just the color of our skin, but the experiences and the different things that we can bring to this job. And I am so glad to be representing all AFA-CWA members across the world.
Keturah?
What Dante said.
You second that motion? Okay, seriously, AFA members, we've been through some really hard times, and we know it's still really tough out there. We're continuing to work on the issue of disruptive passengers and trying to get the kind of support that we need to be able to do our jobs. But we want to hear from you. We're so proud and excited to represent you. And it wouldn't be a video if Sara didn't cry. No, talking about what it means to represent flight attendants who are incredible people who inspire us every single day. And we're really happy to be together. We feel like we're sitting on our own jump seat here, but you are top of mind every single day for us, all day long, and in our priorities that we're working on. And we want to thank you so much for all your love and support. And let's go get ready to take off, because flight attendants have never been prepared to lead more than we are today. And we're going to do it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody. Fly safe.